John grew up in a poor family. He was raised by his grandmother, Mrs. Smith, who never scolded him. Perhaps that is why the boy has become a real bully. Besides, he studied quite poorly. Therefore, he did not even try to enter the university, but after graduation from school, he found a job to help his grandmother. Mrs. Smith was pleased with her grandson and dreamed of him starting a family as soon as possible. However, she was not destined to attend John's wedding. Mrs. Smith died at the age of 70. For the young man, that was a real tragedy. A couple of years after this sad event, John managed to save money to buy a second-hand car. Of course, his vehicle was quite old, and the young man's friends often made fun of him, but John was glad and did not pay attention to this. He loved his Chevrolet and took good care of it. By that time, he was working as a representative of a construction company and had a girlfriend. But soon, John began to notice that his salary, unlike other colleagues, was getting lower and lower. Then he decided to talk to the manager. "John, you work in sales. The specificity of this position is that the plan is constantly changing, and your salary changes as a result. Better pay more attention to work and stop looking at others," the manager told him. John was very upset by this answer and, leaving the office, slammed the door. Unfortunately, this was not the only bad news that day. While returning home, he heard a knock coming from under the hood of his car. Something was definitely wrong. John decided not to delay and immediately went to the service. After checking the vehicle, the mechanic said it needed suspension and engine repairs, and it wouldn't be cheap. Of course, the young man did not have that kind of money. When he left the service, he received a message from his girlfriend Mabel that said that she was leaving him for another man. Out of desperation, John began to cry. Lately, Mabel had often told him that he was making little money and would not be able to provide for them in the future. Apparently, this was the reason that she broke up with him. Because of all this bad news, John decided to commit suicide. He knew that it was unlikely that anyone would grieve for the poor orphan. He decided to go to the bridge because he knew that no one would be there at that time. However, in a ditch by the river, he saw an overturned sports car. Someone was inside. It was a young girl. John ran up to her to help her out. However, instead of thanking, she started yelling at him. Ignoring such a reaction, the guy took her out of the car and put her in his vehicle. "I'll call an ambulance," he said to the girl. "No need. I'm a little drunk, so don't want to get in trouble with the police," the girl replied. "Give me your phone, please. I need to call." John shrugged and handed her his old phone. "What is this? What, you don't have a smartphone? And what a terrible car!" She was indignant. Her words hurt John. "Okay, just take me home," she added. The young man obeyed her order. However, after that, he decided not to return to the bridge. The incident distracted him from bad thoughts. He spent the next 2 days looking for work, but found nothing. And suddenly, when he was sitting and watching TV in the evening, there was a knock on his door. It was the same stranger. "It wasn't hard to find you, considering my father has the proper connections. Get ready. I'm inviting you to dinner," she said. It turned out that the stranger's name was Mary. During the dinner, the guy told her about his problems and why he was on the bridge that evening. "I can't help you with your car, but I can offer you a job. I will ask my father about it." John accepted her offer and the next day came to her father's office for an interview. His experience in sales played its part, and John was hired as a manager. And over time, he and Mary began dating.